Upon orbship earth, if ye by chance meet the holy man, your heart is no longer your heart. Your mind is no longer your mind. For his heart is in the heart of God. His mind is in the heart of God. His mind is in the mind of God. If by chance you meet the holy man upon orbship earth, treat him with the utmost respect. For disrespect is the beginning of the path of reprobation. You are now in tune on the one, the force itself at this time, we call the Holy Master Blaster Jamin. When the Prophet Muhammad was upon orbship earth, when all the prophets were upon orbship earth at one time or another, it could not be said to them that you are wrong in your opinion, because the prophets had not opinion. The word of the prophet was the word of the gods. You are now in tune on the one, the force itself at this time we call the Holy Master Blaster Jamin. We have came to orbship earth many times before. We have loved our loved ones. It has been no doubt about this. Noah loved his sons, but one of them did not make it, for he went against the laws of his father. The wife of Noah, she did not make it because she went against the laws of her husband. The wife of Lot, she looked back and turned into a pillar of salt. She did not make it because she turned against the laws of her husband. You are now in tune on the one, the force itself at this time we call the Holy Master Blaster Jamin. In the wilderness of North America today, our men are gay, our women are lesbian. Since the 1960s, the woman liberation movement has caused the women to turn against the men. I am not saying that it is all the woman's fault, but many of the women today do not wish to hear what their men have to say. There is no submission. There is no honor. They stand up, fight you toe to toe. There's always an argument. When there are arguments, it becomes psychological warfare. This is the beginning of becoming a reprobate. What they don't know is that the chosen man of God, if one sends thoughts of negativity towards him, those thoughts turn and go back towards you. I have found during my journey that evil is oftentimes ignorance, not knowing itself to be so. There are some upon orbship earth that feels like they are educated. They feel like they have their own mind. They feel like they know. If the Bible is allegory, metaphor, and simile, and each noun has a deeper level of meaning, shouldn't we also see the three-dimensional life as that? In the beginning was the Word, and the Word was God, and the Word dwelled among the people, and the people knew it not. This movie that we are in, some people are just walking into the movie. It is dark and their eyes have not focused yet, so they do not see. They were not here when the movie first began, so they don't know. All they know is what they have read. The Rastafari is not an ordinary man. He moves in an ordinary world, but in a non-ordinary way. The Rastafari transforms his surroundings. Once you listen to truth from the Rasta man, you are no longer the same. You are held responsible. If that truth be truth from the gods, you say you are interested in it. Once you get in and start learning it, learn the sacred rites, the sacred lore, the secrets of secrets from the holies of holies, And then you try to tell that holy man that he is not holy, that he is like everyone else, that he is subject to mistakes like everyone else. It is not that type ball game. The one chosen came with a message. That message is from the gods. That message cannot be altered. So it was in the beginning, so shall it be in the end. There's nothing new, said the holy man, under the sun. We can beat the odds. The Master Jesus said, in order to receive the Holy Spirit, he made an example out of wine vats. The old stagnant wine had to be poured out in order for new wine to be functional. Meaning, you have to empty your minds of the negativity, of the wrong information received before being touched by the holy man. You are now in tune. On the one, the force itself at this time we call the Holy Master Blaster Jamming. You say, what are you talking about? I am saying that one becomes reprobate the moment he starts going against truth coming from the mouthpiece of the gods. This is how the magic works. Selah. It is true that in the wilderness of North America we are a people subject to opinions. It is the magic of the day. Everyone has his own opinion. If there should be a blueprint that this house of life be built upon, it was said in the beginning, let it be the script. All of the holy books are one. All of the holy books are one. God is it that dwells within me as me. God is it that you call God is it that dwells within you as you. The Rastafari says one perfect love. All of the prophets get their inspiration, get the word from the rose of prophecy known by the Sufi as Abraham. It is that word that spoke existence into being. From the Holy Quran to the Bhagavad Gita, the Vedas, all of the Holy Scriptures are one voice, each a aspect of the whole, each an aspect of the whole. In the Quran, under the code 19, it is a yardstick by which we measure all things in the 21st century. It has been every six since the existence of orb ship Earth, the yardstick by which we measure truth, and it that governs all mankind, dictated by the mighty gods, builders of the pyramids, the ancient fuzzy wuzzies, the ancient big-nosed, big-lipped ones who came up from the black hole on their own. Spring comes, the grass grows of its own. You are now in tune on the one, the force itself. By this time we call it the Holy Master Blaster Jamming. This is to say, there is but one God, there is but one truth. The first law of nature is self-preservation, meaning not being selfish, I'll get him before he gets me, but to preserve your life force. By doing so, by preserving your life force, you preserve your own health, build your immune system, you preserve your body. In the ancient of times, men lived to be of great age, and they traveled by spaceships to different planets. It is known that the three stars in the belt of Orion point to the star Sirius, from which the information upon orbship Earth come from. In the middle of Orion, it is literally heaven, a stargate leading to heaven. It was the objective of all the ancient ones to return home. In the church lore, we hear of such tales in allegory, metaphor, similes. Every noun has a deeper level of meaning. So there is a blueprint by which we live upon orbship Earth. It is called astrotheology. At the end of every era, there is a natural disaster and there is a means of survival. And this time it is called the Holy Book of Wonder, and we present something so simple to you, an orchestration, a symphony in concert for the major prophets who are still alive by the will of the gods. Gather, as it is written, when two or more gather in his name, thinking on one thing, the master is in their midst, the force is in their midst. And we know if we send our voice upon the Son, the angels will hear it. There was an agreement, the covenant. The ark is a vehicle by which the covenant is carried. That vehicle was reggae music and funk music and soul music, basically funk and reggae. The agreement was, when it came time of the deluge, when there came a time of same-sex marriage, when the heathen's back is upon the wall, that we cry out in unison that the gods remember the covenant. And it is written in the Holy Quran, it is binding on the gods to honor the covenant. Yes, I am. So we are out in the streets, Black Lives Matter. It is true that all lives upon orbship Earth matter, but the current scenario in the streets is mere illusion. So it is written in a place for us to see. They want us to join the fighting, but our answer today is to let all of our worries like a breeze through our fingers slip away. Why should we not join the fighting? Because that is an illusion of Satan. It is 2015, not 1963. So everything in the streets is contrived by certain factions in the social system, by the rulers of the social system, and the masses, called the Goyim, are basically illiterate when it comes to arcane things. They cannot see that the revolution, so-called, was not to be violent, and that revolution is over. If anyone could have pulled it off, it would have been Saint Malcolm. We know this through our research. We know that Malcolm made contact with Red China. We know that China, Mao Zedong, had promised if America go against the black man in the wilderness of North America, China would come to our aid. We know this, but the God said, we will not have this. In the future we have for your redemption. As the prophet Bob Marley says, we free our people with music, the Holy Master Blaster jamming. So for the last 33 years we have been delivering this information. And as the Pope traveled the wilderness of North America and the Speaker of the House stepped down, and we have shown in our videos, and we gathered from other research with our own information fusing, there is no contradiction at the top. All the different elements have fused, making one great synthesis. It is the wisdom of the Rastafari Mystery School, delivered to you via Ital Iman, Editor-in-Chief, Underground News Network. We have learnt that there is a shake-up in the higher structures of the Matrix, and that certain factions that have been ruling are no longer ruling, So it is prophesied in the song, when the heathen's back is against the wall, rise up, fallen fighters, rise and take your stance again. He who fights and runs away lives to fight another day. So now is that time. Like the ones buried in the pyramids, to rise upon the day of the last trumpet, the days of resurrection, as ones are buried in the mounds, and sound vibration will resurrect them as proof of the resurrection, truth, as proof that the word is truth from the Ancient of Days, and they will have their book. We will have our book. It is written that by the faith of Noah, the elders were given a good report, and that report in this time is the Holy Book of Wonder. So we will reveal the secret places of the lion. The Pope is doing his thing. The so-called Illuminati is being dismantled. They are doing their thing before the return of Nibiru. Why can't I and I do our thing? Be not afraid. Come to Zion. Everything is ready. The Zionists, and it is written in a place for us to see, they are not of God, but of the synagogue of Satan. Yesaya, be not afraid, for I and I that dwell within the eye is more powerful than he that is in the world. Is more powerful than he is in the world. Yesaya, you are now in tune. On the one, the force itself, by this time we call the Holy Master Blaster Jamming. So if what I am saying is true, you are being judged at this moment. You are responsible for your actions at this moment. And if you have been listening to me and you have turned your back on me, saying that I don't have the authority to say what I say, when I simply say unto you, Babylon is fallen, leave Babylon. If you have gay friends, you got to let them go. God do not approve of that. If you are gay, it is time to repent. There's still time. The man of God cannot be judged. It is written in a place for us to see, be mindful how you entertain strangers, for they may be the very elect of God. And in my realm, there are shamans. Good and bad is on the opposite sides of the coin. In my realm, there are shamans. There are men around me who might wear makeup, who might wear glitter on their face. They are mystics. The average homosexual out there that's practicing bending over, letting people pop them in the butts, they are not married. They don't have wives. It is time to let them go. Even if they are your blood, your own flesh and blood, it is time to let them go. It is a time of purging. We're at the time of the purging, the great purging. The great purging. Some of you who are claiming to be revolutionaries and who are claiming to be enlightened beings, you are yet babies. There is much yet that you haven't seen. There is much yet that you know not about. I am the Rastafari Ital Iman, a spiritual traveler of this world. I come to let you know that music is the key to life, and you are now in tune. On the one, the force itself, at this time we call it the Holy Master Blaster Jamming. Greetings and salutations of peace. When we read a book, we are observing the book. It is my attempt here to cause out that we learn to observe history and events that are happening in the world without becoming attached to them or necessarily a part of them. Read world events in the sense of reading a book. If we would notice of the advent of slavery, about 311 years later, there were two redemption movements that were sent to us: the Nation of Islam and the Rastafari movement. These are the two redemption movements. The Nation of Islam, according to their lessons, had 60 years to deliver that message. And that message was the year 1990 was when that 60-year period was up, and it was symbolic of the 6,000-year rule that the force of life gave to the rulers of the world. So we will stop that right there, and I wish to explain to you or tell you that you believe or that you know. We have a lot of confusion about what and who is the Anunnaki. The Anunnaki were the ancient black gods. The day of black liberation is over. It is the hour of black redemption. It is the hour of black survival. The day of liberation is over. The ones who are liberated mentally understand the divine design that have taken place. I have been asked by younger people, how can the white people take our information and control us with it? It is not possible that that happened. What we have to realize is that it is up to us to evoke the gods or invoke the gods, which is the purpose of my teaching for the last 36 years. It is written in a place that we see to the children of Israel. It is written, the children of Israel cried out in unison, the gods. It is written literally in the Bible, God remembered the covenant. And Holy Quran says it's binding on Allah to answer us when we call him. So what has taken place, as I was explaining before, is the Anunnaki set up this drama, this scenario here on earth. They left us here, and they said when it get at a certain period in time for us to call out to them, and they will come back and redeem us from the earth. That has been my intention, my endeavor, to get to the ones, the 7 major prophets, Stevie Wonder being foremost. This inspiration came down through their music as to how we were to survive. But there's no way for us to rebuild the pyramids again. That information is already here. And that information is what's causing us to do what we're doing. So our legacy to the future is in the music. The music is the ark, but the pyramid was the ark, literally Noah's ark. And the music is the carrier for the message. So reggae music was the ark, and the covenant is the agreement that's written in the music. So there is a blog spot called UNN13 blogspot.com. It's called the Rastafari Mystery School. So I ask you to put Ital Iman in any search engine. Ital Iman Rastafari Mystery School, and you will see, you will get all the information that you need in order to understand what's taking place here. So I have learned that we as a people love to be entertained. So I have not been getting any support, or just a TT amount of support, because I'm not an entertainer. And I wonder sometimes, how have I survived? So you can support me by buying my books. Now I'm giving you the information freely. I haven't charged a dime for it, and I'm on here quite often. I have over 200 or 300 or 400 videos, 2 channels. I used to talk before 2012. That information has been improved upon. So I have the Underground News Network, the old site with Chilam Belam, and the Underground News Network YouTube is more it's more mature, and you can see how I have progressed over the years. So, excuse me. And it is very vital at this point that we understand what has been taking place. A lot of the Afrocentric people say, well, we don't listen to the Bible, that's a bunch of hogwash. No. What is written there, as it's written, okay, as it was in the time of Noah, so will it be in the end. That's the same thing that's taking place here, because you're not adhering to what I'm saying, and I'm saying it's going to rain. You say 2000 came, nothing happened. Something did happen. The Ross ice shift, when Mercury, Venus, Mars, Saturn, Jupiter were lying with the Earth for the first time in 6,000 years. Now keep that 6,000 years in your mind. The Nation of Islam was set up to shadow what's taking place. And the destiny of America is written in the Nation of Islam. But check this. Mercury, Venus, Mars, Saturn, and Jupiter. It's 5 naked eye planets. Was aligned with Mercury, Venus, Mars, Saturn, Jupiter. Was aligned with the Earth for the first time in 6,000 years. So you had 5 naked eye planets with the Earth for the first time in 6,000 years. That's 6 planets for the first time in 6,000 years. Okay? So they said on that date, the poles would shift and trillions of tons of ice and water would sweep over the planet. We say nothing happened. Okay? Even in March, April, May, 2 months before, the Ross ice shift broke off. So the poles have begun to shift. So if, let's say you say, I can't take it anymore, you're going to end your life. You go up on the Empire State Building, you jump off. You're not going to hit the ground instantly. It's going to take some time, a few seconds, a few minutes before you hit the ground. So the poles began to shift in the year 2000. Ross ice shift broke off. So now, if you look down the South Pole right now, Antarctica, what do you find? The poles are melting. It's coming up green down there. So everything down there is changing. Something's going on down there. You go over to that place where they had the food bank where they had all the seeds there. It's melting. Water, they ain't telling you water, but the thing probably flooded with water. So that didn't work out. So everything is melting. The caps are melting. Okay, so that's taking place. Okay, 2012 came. Okay, our sun aligned with the Milky Way, straight line, bulge in the Milky Way allowed the sun. Okay, the sun was rose and was like it was birthing out of that. So they say Quetzalcoatl was in the sun. I experienced that. I went down to Chaco Canyon, so I have an inside scoop on what happened there. But you can see physically what happened. The people that can't see it spiritually, America itself was covered, 65% covered with snow. And if we go to the Dogon and look at their teachings, the fox is very important. So there was a fox in Norway. That's where that seed tank is. There was a fox crossing the river in Norway, frozen, halfway across. And foxes normally can cross water without anything happening. But for some reason, for some sign, we know that sign, this fox froze into the water. That's 2012, right on that date. That's when the Sandy Hook shooting started at 12/21/2012. All this thing started happening. Sandy Hook. So we found Obama sanctioned same-sex marriage. So life as we know it on this planet changed. So it's still happening from 2002. It's a progression. It's still happening. The man is still falling, coming off the Empire State Building. So now we at the last time. It appears hard for us to get a understanding of the timeline, an understanding of what we are currently supposed to be doing. So many people ask, who are the Anunnaki? What color were the Anunnaki? And some people are thinking this and that about them. But from the Sumerian 10th tablets of the Anunnaki, we will give you their own description of who they are and what their purpose was. It reads, while the Anunnaki were still celebrating the construction of the artificial mounds, i.e. the pyramids, Enki offered a suggestion to his brother Enlil. Said, when in future days it will be asked, when and by whom was this marvel fashioned? Let us beside the Twin Peaks a monument create, the age of the lion let it announce. The image of Enkiskadita, later known as Thoth, Tau, he was known as the Plum Circle in Central America, the peak's designer, let its face be. Let it precisely towards the place of the celestial chariots gaze, when by whom and the purpose let it to future generations reveal. Enlil agreed with Enki's suggestion and decreed, let the gazing lion precisely eastward facing with Ningishzita's image be. So the face that we see upon the Sphinx is that of Thoth. So they made it clear to us in the future who built the Great Pyramids. Now, in as far as revolution is concerned in the black struggle, that's over. It is time for the contemplation of survival. So the mechanism for survival, knowing that all the great wisdom is ours. Some people ask if the white people took our wisdom, how can they use it against us? And if you think about that, you know that it's impossible for that to happen. It is our will. We must, as written in the script, for the children of Israel cried out in unison, God or the gods remembered the covenant. And it said in the Quran that it is binding on Allah to answer us if we cry out in unity for help. And it is for us to seek the help of the gods to escape the natural disasters, which are not totally man-made. Every so many thousand years, like the elliptical orbit of Nibiru, 3,600 year elliptical orbit comes around, and when it comes back around, then the earth is in upheaval. So it is actually time to change. So the code was in the song Master Blaster Jamming. It says, in the early 80s, we were in the middle of the making of the Master Blaster Jamming, which simply means that, like the boat of Noah, same meaning, he was building his boat. So now, since we've gone through the makings of the Master Blaster Jamming, it's time to get on board that particular boat. So we can't build the pyramid and all that has already been. So we can't recreate the wheel. So it's on a totally different level. Like I was saying in the beginning of this discourse, that 311 years after slavery was started. We went through all the things that we went through. You know, they did this flip mode on us, and we became the servants. So the force that created the pyramids, the energy behind the men that created the pyramids, the cosmic consciousness, the grand man sent two redemption movements, which were the Rastafari and the Nation of Islam. And the nation had 60 years to rule, and that to do their teachings, which was synonymous with the 6,000 years that the forces that controlled us had over us. And all of this esoteric forces are tied into the destiny of America. So we come up to uh, September 23rd, 2017, when Virgo will be visible in the sky with the 12 stars above her head, the moon at her feet. This is recorded in the book of Revelations, talking about the sun-clad woman. And if we notice that our nation's capital is based upon or built around the theme of Virgo. So Virgo represents Mary. So you look at the Nation of Islam, who is synonymous with the destiny of America. The mosque, Miriam, it is symbolic of this information. Miriam, Mary, Virgo, same thing. And even as Salas Muhammad there in Atlanta, the Honorable Elijah Muhammad is called by that group of people Mother Mary. And you look at their mosque, it's based on the Greco-Roman style, just like the nation's capital. And our brother Benjamin Banneker, laying out the Washington Mall, laid out the codes for us to follow. And in the Holy Book of Wonder, you can put in any search engine, Ital Iman, Holy Book of Wonder, and you can read and study on this enigma that's been happening now. I've been 36 years in the writing of the book, but it all started back in the year 1930 when the Nation of Islam came on the scene and when the Rastafari movement came upon the scene. So everything that we have heard through the 60s and all through our time of liberation, we have went through certain changes and we have gone beyond all of that. And now in the year 1981, the passing of the prophet Bob Marley, 36 years ago, and 36 is very important because he died at 36, and it's very important because it symbolizes the 3,600 year elliptical orbit of Nibiru, also known as the mothership, also known as Sirius C, and it's coded that way. So it is time for the redemption, not the revolution, not the rebellion is not the way, violence is not the way, it's the science. And it's actually the same science that built the Great Pyramids. This is that same science, but it's on a different level, and it's in the Rastafari movement. So in order to understand this, we have compiled a blog. We have all of the different elements of elements of the years, elements of all the movements, elements of all the wisdom, all the knowledge, all of the different groups have fused. We have fused them into one great synthesis. And at the top, we find there is no contradiction by fusing all of these different elements. And if you would study that, UNN13blogspot.com, or just put in any search engine, Ital Iman, Rastafari Mystery School, and you will find in time the information that's needed. And we never ask you for anything, but you know that we have to survive. It's a miracle that I have survived this for over the last 36 years. But if you want to send me something, I would gladly appreciate it. But most of all, buy the books. So by buying the books, you support this effort. and that effort will support you. By this time, I would have hoped to. My wish was, or my desire of prayer was that we be away from Babylon, up in the mountains somewhere, away from the natural disasters, living, growing food, and living in harmony, learning each one, teaching one, learn from each other. But it happened in another way, and we know that when the poles shift and the oceans rise, and we're supposed to be above that, and it's possible for us to escape that. And there's science in the Holy Book of One that tells us how to escape even the CMEs. You know, like people say, well, we're not going to look at the Bible because it's been tampered with. There is enough information in that, and like it says, just like it was in the time of Noah, so will it be in these times. Noah told the people that it was going to rain. They said, oh, he's crazy, nothing's going to happen. But the floods did come. So they say, well, in the year 2000, when Mercury, Venus, Mars, Saturn, and Jupiter aligned with the Earth for the first time in 6,000 years, what happened was is that the South Pole, the Ross Ice Shelf, broke off 200 miles, and it started moving. The ice started melting and everything. So we look down there now that it's melting, and you know you hear something's going on down Antarctica. So we know, for instance, if you just got fed up with what's taking place and you want to get away, you say, I'm going to go to the Empire State Building, I'm going to jump off. You're not going to hit the ground instantly like that. It's going to take some time for you to hit the ground. So that's what happened when the five naked eye planets, Mercury, Venus, Mars, Saturn, and Jupiter, aligned with the Earth for the first time in 6,000 years. Now note that the Nation of Islam was given 6,000 years, not 6,000 years, but 660 years to deliver their teaching, symbolic of a 6,000-year rule. Note that Noah was 600 years old when the floods came, but they did come. So we're focusing on this number 6 and 6,060, which is the same thing. So at that time, the year 2000, that's what happened. So 12 years later, that man is still falling off of that Empire State Building. He hadn't hit the ground yet. So in the year 2012, notice what happened when our sun aligned with the Milky Way. The Milky Way had a bulge, and the Milky Way like a pregnant woman, and our sun rose up out of that. So each time it's about a birth, and the sun rose up out of the Milky Way had a bulge, and our sun aligned with it, and it came out of that bulge like Mary giving birth to Jesus. So a lot of things happened there. We went to the sacred places. At that time, America was 65% covered with snow. And in Switzerland, where the spiral was, we go back to the Dogon and we look at the fox, for the fox was used in divining. So there was a fox that was trying to cross the river. He froze midstream in the river. So that was a symbol for the fox. Okay. So we know that the fox always crossed the river, have no problem. But why did he freeze in the year 2012? So at that same time, you had Sandy Hook shootings. Everything started going helter-skelter. Obama sanctioned same-sex marriages at that time. So things as we know it changed. Okay, so the man is still falling off the building. He had hit the ground yet. Okay, and now 2017, the 100th year since the prophecy of Fatima, 36 years after Bob Marley's death, we have Virgo will appear in the sky. We go back to Revelations 12. We're still talking about that birth. It's like in the year 2012, the sun rose from the bulge of the Milky Way. So at this time, Jupiter, who has went into the womb of Virgo 9 months ago, she'll be giving birth. Jupiter will be leaving the belly of Virgo September 23, 2017. And like it says in Revelation 12, she have 12 stars will be over her head. The moon will literally be at her feet. So this is the final part of that three-part prophecy. So we had the three secrets of Fatima, which actually was that these three children saw an apparition, they say, of the Virgin. Again, the Virgin of Virgin Mary. But what that was, it was that they were shown that Nibiru would enter our system 100 years after they saw it, and 100 years when they all reach 100 years of age. So they all have reached 100 years of age. Those three children have had an apparition down in Fatima, down in I think it's Portugal, somewhere over there. But that's what all the secret of the prophecy of Fatima is about. So we ask you to go to the search engines and put in Ital Iman and the Rastafari Mystery School, and uh, become aware of this that I am delivering to you. You are now in tune on the one, the force itself. At this time, we call the Holy Master Blaster Gem. Thanks for listening. Yes, I am. Why is black supremacy important? Why is race important? Why is melanin important? It is said that melanin is in every person, yes, to a certain degree. It is said that melanin is even in food, yes, to a certain degree. But to the largest degree, it is in me. At this particular time in history, in the age, we actually are in the age of Aquarius. So a lot of things that we see happening, like Black Lives Matter, not that Black Lives doesn't matter, but we are 30 years, about 33 years into the future in reality. We are not at this point we see in media currently. That is an illusion. It is written by the prophet. They want us to join the fighting, but our answer today is to let all of our worries, like a breeze through our fingers, slip away. You are now in tune. On the one, the force itself, at this time, we call the Holy Master, Master Ujjayi. Yes, I am. The planet is in disarray. We are standing on the verge of extinction. Jesus is not coming. The people in church have been disillusioned ever since slavery. So we have a dire emergency. And the only solution to that emergency is a wisdom, is a genetic coding of the so-called African American, which most of us in essence were here long before the pioneers came to the continent, to Turtle Island. We were here. The so-called Indians, the Cherokee, the Seminoles, the Choctaw, all of the so-called, the indigenous people of North America. We are here today, the descendants of these people. And just the mere fact that it is known that the so-called Indians went unto the so-called African slaves went to the Indians for refuge, and they hid among them. How can they hide among a people of different hues? So they had to be black in order for the so-called black Africans to hide among them. So all the Indians, so-called Indians, were not killed off. We are here today. And in our genetic structure, there is the message of survival, the same message that's written on the walls of the Great Pyramid in mathematical code, the same message that's written in the stars, the astrotheology that's written in our Bibles, in our holy books, and our holy scripts. So the black man is a solution to the seemingly problem that we have. The white man has destroyed the earth, have raped the earth, and the earth is dying, and the earth is crying, and the poles are shifting, and a whole lot of things are going on. Same-sex marriage, everything is going wrong. Who can straighten that out? None other than the God-man, none other than the melanated man. So we present to you the Holy Master Blaster jamming as a survival mechanism. We ask you to look into the Holy Book of Wonder, or the Holy Book of Wonder. It's online, it's self-published. Lulu carries it, Barnes and Nobles carry it, all the major stores carry it. You just have to order it and look into what I've been saying, what I've been delivering to the people for the last 33 years. I am your brother, the Rastafari, Ital Iman, known as Chilam Belam, known as Iki Belam Shaman Ek. What is melanin? Melanin is a pigment that gives the skin of beings, of earth beings, it's a pigment that gives our skin, hair, and eyes their color. Dark-skinned people have more melanin in their skin than light-skinned people. Melanin is produced by cells called melanocytes. Note that words, terms, does not justify, nor do they explain anything. So there's something that makes our skin color dark. They call it melanin. So what do we know by it, by its name? So to most people, melanin does not explain anything. But if you knew what melanin was, you would understand that the darker skinned people, it's a superior product. Melanin proves that it's a superior product. All men are created equal. No. There's something created called money that gives physical means, a physical vehicle. And this illusion, money, is a hindrance of the motivation of the forward movement of the melanated people. And the melanated people are not the blacks, the dark-skinned people in church that don't know themselves. The melanated people are the people who are awake to the meaning of melanin, the God people, the melanin people, the dark people, the people who in the beginning emerged from the melanin, the black holes of space, the melanin. These people are known, the melanin people are known as the Anunnaki. Spring comes, the grass grows of its own. You're now in tune. On the one, the force itself, at this time we call the Holy Master Blaster jamming. What do we mean by spring comes, the grass grows of its own? The tree is in the seed. Life is a seed. The tree within the seed are the melanin, the black people who came from the darkness in the beginning, who came up from themselves. They say, well, who created the Anunnaki? The melanin created the Anunnaki. The total darkness, they came out of themselves. There never was a time when we was not. In that sense, the melanin people are scattered throughout the boundless universe and the galactic heavens. So the people that are lost upon orb-ship Earth, in essence, don't matter if they don't cry out and they get wiped out in the deluge with the non-melanated people. Then, with the created people, the genetic engineered people, and all the rest of the hues, If they don't cry out, then they become obsolete. They become null and void. But that doesn't stop anything, because throughout the boundless universe, in the galactic heavens, or the melanin, we will always be here. But it is for us to escape this prison called orb ship Earth through sound vibration, the same vibration that build the pyramids. This sound vibration is a technology called the Holy Master Blaster jamming. So the major scientists, the major prophets are still alive upon orb ship Earth, but like our Master's song life, is being held captive or hostage behind the walls of the Laroda group. His brothers, Calvin, Melvin Hardaway, all the parasites, and the forces that do not want to see the Holy Master Blaster come to fruition. So in a psychological or a educational or a revolutionary move of wisdom, we must occupy Black Bull, the company of Song Life, Stevie Wonder, and demand responsibility. The artists are responsible, should be held responsible for the message in their music. If they don't understand the science of inspiration, we must educate them the science of inspiration. This is why black supremacy matters, because this is the only solution to the imminent demise of the beings upon the runaway stagecoach, orb ship Ea. You are now in tune on the one, the force itself. Now this time we call the Holy Master Blaster Jamming. Yes, I am.